Hey everybody, gonna cook a brisket today. I got a chimney of coals heating up in Eileen here, and while the fire gets going, I'm gonna trim the brisket, and then I'm going to see what this thing will come out like. I haven't, my briskets are really good, but I'm always interested in having a little bit more smoke taste on them. I started off by using a pellet cooker when I first started cooking briskets, and all my friends and family and church groups said that it was really good, and they would even think I could sell it. I've got a couple guys that would love to see me getting a kind of barbecue business going, but the problem is being able to cook more than one brisket at a time. So again, that's when modifying my old country Wrangler came into place, and so I started doing that, and now I've been sidetracked from cooking with just building smokers. But Eileen has been done. I've done a couple cooks on her, but not one of my regular briskets. So I'm gonna do that today. I've got the coals going in a chimney. Might need to, they're glowing at the bottom, so good. That'll at least eventually get all hot. It should give me time to go ahead and get the brisket all trimmed up. Again, this was my old country barbecue. I added this 1/4-inch steel tube to the end, another 4 inches of cook chamber. I can actually fit larger logs in there, whole logs. I'll do that here in a little bit. Once I get the coals down there, I'll get a really big fire going with the logs, add more coals to it, and get the whole smoker heated up. Again, the cook chamber to the old country Wrangler would stop there. I do have a couple things inside. I'm gonna this is the old baffle from the Wrangler that I pulled out. I was kind of considering where I might be able to use that piece of metal elsewhere to maybe direct some heat. I'm not sure, but now that the cook chamber, and I'll be cooking my most of my food over there. I don't know, the baffle's still not necessary, but I do know that I've seen people put a plate to hold their water pot. This is my water pot. I'll fill it with water a little bit later when I get going. This is a piece out of my pellet cooker. When I want to cook on fire, I slide that over, but kind of had a lot of junk coated on it. I thought I would put it in the fire, get all that cooked off and clean it real good. Drippings and stuff from other cooks. And then this was the grate that used to fit over the firebox, but I didn't move that piece back there that would hold the grate up, so it's not wide. The grate's not wide enough to sit across those two rails. Still might move it, but I got this thing in my backyard now. It wasn't easy going through my soggy grass. It's always soggy over here, and so the casters. It wasn't too bad though. I ended up having to add a handle back here so me and my buddy could actually move this thing, and we did. It wasn't too terribly hard. She probably weighs 1,000 pounds, but definitely sturdy, handled the move, the legs held up, and so this is Eileen. This is my smoker modification that I had made, and I'm gonna do an official first brisket cook on it for all day, from start to finish. That's the other thing. The last brisket I did was a pastrami brisket, and I finished it on the old Pit Boss. This is a Pit Boss Classic. It's actually been worked really good for me. Sets cooks overnight really good, and holds temps really good. But the only problem was that it didn't put a very smoky taste. So that's my goal. I'm gonna go ahead and go in and trim up a brisket and thaw out some of my homemade sausages. I'm gonna eat those tonight, and I'm gonna have brisket tomorrow. Talk to you soon. All right, so the fire's going. So I'm gonna show you. Got some ridiculous logs in there right now. Just trying to get a good coal bed going. I'm gonna start trimming this brisket. There's full-on logs, just getting this thing warm, transferring heat over into the cook chamber. I got it open because I don't want a lot of dirty smoke in there, and I don't want to overheat my thermometers. So here, when that wood starts to break down a little bit more, I will shut the main cook chamber and let the entire thing get all heated up, warmed up. So that's that is what I like to do there, how I get a good coal bed going. And let's go trim the brisket. This brisket is going to be for my eating pleasure, and most of the time I've cooked quite a lot of briskets this year because I like to present them at gatherings at work and church, and also to just hone in my skills. So once in a while, like this one, I'm just cooking it so I can actually enjoy it. So of course, the best of the best, gonna be done right, and oh yeah, with what I can, the best of what I can get, which is a Costco Prime, and I will be trimming it. This is a 12 pounder. I liked that it had, looks like good fat striations, or in between the grains of the muscle, all throughout. Had a pretty thick flat there, so I didn't have to waste too much of trimming that off to what, thumb size. Anyways, the point here didn't have too much fat around it, and that decal fat there was not too large. I didn't pay for too much fat. The underneath is pretty typical, and it looks like they got that mohawk there already trimmed off, so I also didn't have to pay for that. So I'll be trimming this fat and then down to the quarter, of course, as recommended by most. So I'll get started on trimming that here. And it was interesting because we watched a video of a guy who thought you would go ahead and not trim anything off a brisket and cook it that way. But when I first started doing briskets, that's how I did it. I saw videos on how to trim it, but I couldn't bring myself to spend, you know, 50, 60 bucks on a brisket just to cut most of it off and use it for sausage, because I wasn't making sausage at the time. I was just getting into this barbecue stuff. So I was like, man, that's a lot of good meat and stuff that you cut off. And so I have cooked my first few briskets without really trimming anything. And they were actually some of my best tasting ones. You got all that fat in there that I did keep on. And of course, some of the fat ends up not being edible. I understand. You trim that off and eat the good part, but I lost no meat. But then as I moved forward and realized that the best picturesque outcome is to trim it up good, and then I have gotten a sausage grinder and sausage maker, so I do use that stuff, and I have made chili, stuff like that out of the brisket trims, and ground beef. Anyways, I thought that was interesting that a guy made a video. He never cooked it that way. I thought, yeah, and it came out good for him, and it does. But trimming gives you the best presentation, and also gives you the ability to have bark all over every bite that you would eat, instead of trying to eliminate some of that fat that you wouldn't eat. So I'm gonna trim it up. See you soon. All right, so I got it trimmed up. Looking pretty good. Sorry, I like this cut. I'm excited about this one. Here we have, I got a lot of that silver skin trimmed off and the fat here. Sometimes I don't sit there and worry about this. I did have it in the freezer for a little while before I pulled it out and started cutting on it, which made it a lot easier to cut the fat off. I'm not gonna dig too far into that part right there, so I can keep it kind of rounded. And it gives us that nice presentation we like on a brisket. I love this. Looks really good. And I'm a fan of Harry Sue. Harry Sue seems to think that as long as this has enough fat in it, you can expose it more and get it covered with your seasoning and create good bark and burnt ends. So I like to do it that way. I found that he's not wrong. I've got enough fat in here to cause this to stay juicy and tender. And then of course I trimmed the flat, and I made an error. Just dug in. I know we've all done it, right? Try not to, but we'll see. This is a pretty lean flat in that spot, but I'm gonna do all I can. This thick. So I'm not too afraid of that. I've done it before. Like I said, I know we all have. And I didn't get have to cut a whole lot off of this thing, so I'm pretty well pleased with that. This was already pretty low. I'm not too concerned about this stuff. I cut this thinner and all of this thinner, so that's a good looking piece. I'm gonna go ahead and put my seasoning on it, and we'll get it on the smoker soon enough. Hey everybody, okay, I got the meat all seasoned up and ready to go on. I was just making sure the cooker was ready. I like to keep it seasoned also. I use avocado oil. It's got one of the highest smoke points. You can use that. People like to use beef tallow and or other oils are acceptable, but avocado is one of the ones with the highest smoke point. It means I can put it down on the outside of this thing, and the high temps will cause it to not burn off, but should create that non-stick and that coated rust-free surface. So here it is. Again, this is what I bought at Costco recently. It sprays out, but there you go, 500 degree smoke point. So I'm at about 400 on this top end of this first chamber, which is always going to be the hottest up here, and then I'm at about 250, a little above there. I'll get it up a little bit higher hopefully when I go to cook my brisket. A lot of times I'll just buy a bottle of avocado oil though at Walmart, the largest one, and I'll just put it in a spray bottle and use that. Again, inside and out of the cooker to keep it seasoned, non-stick, and also to keep rust away. Currently in the fire pit, I have good fire going, and I'm using maple and pecan for these cooks lately. I got maple for free from a buddy. Yeah, I thought I'd try that. I actually kind of liked it on my last few cooks. Works a little bit better than pecan to get a smoky taste. And I do want to get some post oak here and try that. I've actually not cooked on post oak before. Pecan seemed like a good idea, and I was able to get that for cheap, so I bought a rick of that for like 80 bucks earlier this year, and I've just been cooking on that. And then I got some maple for free, and I was pretty impressed with the maple. But we're going to try this brisket. This will be my first brisket cook with maple in there, so we'll see how that goes. I am going for a little bit more of a smoky taste to my briskets, but yes, anyways, let's get this thing on the cooker. Hey, everybody, okay, so putting this on. I've got lots of space now. I love it. I'm gonna actually go ahead and put some of my previously smoked tallow in there so that I can wrap it with tallow later. I do fat side up because the heat is gonna travel across the top. I'm gonna put the point towards the fire to begin with, and that will be an acceptable way to start this cook off so that the meat can start to get a nice smoky taste to it and smoke and cook flavor. So that's it, guys. That's the brisket piece I got going on to my cooker just now. And I will add water to the water pot and tallow to the foil pan there. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm almost speechless. I can't wait to eat this thing. I wish it was done right now, but we'll see. We'll come back in a little while after it's been cooking for about 4 hours. All right, it's been about 6 hours since I've had this brisket on. Old Eileen. Let's see what she looks like. I did just put a couple splits on. I was outside still trying to weld up the other smoker there. Oh man, that's looking a great color. Really looking moist. I did have the water pot filled. Let's see. Oh, that bark's set. I need to get some gloves on so that I can tip this thing, get that
moisture off that spot right there, but yeah, I did a couple pieces I cut off. I went ahead and seasoned them and slapped them on here. They're gonna be funny. I just wanted to eat them in a little bit. But that's the 12-pound brisket I had going on, looking good. Got a nice gold color on my beef tallow that'll be wrapping this thing in, which I just want to say, with the help of a few other YouTubers, Jeremy Yoder from Mad Scientist Barbecue, and Harry Sue from Slap Your Daddy Barbecue, and Bradley Robinson, Chud's Barbecue, and his channel. Just give a shout out to those guys. Again, some of the techniques, the whole concept between the fire, the clean fire, and all that I learned from Jeremy Yoder, and how to manage my smoker, to the foil boat that Mr. Chud likes to use. I did find when I rest my brisket in an oven that is a drier environment, the foil boat is super helpful. And the trimming and some of the concepts of brisket management that I got from Harry Sue have been super helpful. Again, I'm just getting a lot of compliments out there when I prepare and serve my brisket to folks. So I'm really happy and thankful to those guys. Again, the cooker itself was something that was motivated by these guys, you know, welding it up, modifying this particular one, making the firebox bigger. And I do have a lot of smoke going in. I do have the ability to keep quite a few logs in here with this bigger firebox and the longer cook chamber. Right now it got cold. I kept it open, but I better close it back up. This is looking pretty good. Nothing's dark or too crunchy. That's still pretty flexible there. Maybe I'll rotate it, tip it over to get that juice off the top there so the bark sets there. But man, this thing's looking pretty good. So anyways, that's how we're going. We'll check in later. Hey everybody. So during this brisket cook here, I'm at just about 10 hours. But sorry, something caught my eye. Oh, that's like a beetle. Anyways, let's check this thing out. I have spritzed it maybe once an hour, just looking at that point once or twice, not wanting it to dry out or get crispy really, and have just a chunk of point that is too crunchy. So I have spritzed it once about every hour, but let's check it out. I've tipped it a couple times to get that. Every time I spritz it, I rotated it. This is awesome. Yeah, that point there. I rotated it away from the fire. Put this fat side there. Anyways, and every time I check on it, I do tip it over to get that wet spot off there. Let's see. Okay, that went right in, but 149 though. Let's see. Make sure I'm just not on the fat. Oh yeah, that's pretty tough still. 150. So yeah, I was maybe just pushed in a little bit, just the fat part. So yeah, it's pretty tough as expected. I'm only 10 hours in at about 160. I did temp it about an hour ago and it was still at 160, so it's probably in the stall, right? So anyways, it is dark out here, sorry. Oh, well, that's mostly fat, or not mostly, but there's that fat there and then the fat end inside. So oh, but yeah, that's pretty tender. 164 though, so I'm pretty ready to go ahead and kick up the heat and finish it off. All right, everybody, so I finished the brisket. It's been resting now for, well, about 15 hours. I ended up doing the full foil wrap rest, so here's what it looks like. And in a minute, we'll get some slices into that thing. Pulled it up out of the foil and set it down. Man. It's looking pretty good. Time to get some slices.
Your mama and us had turtles when she was little, when she was your age.
So good.